Okay. It says we're live, but I got an error. Let's try to make sure. I'm still getting an
I
error.
think we are. I'm showing live.
All right. Oh, it's linked. Oh, LinkedIn was having a problem. Everybody else is live. Twitter is live, and that's all
Who
that really in
uses
YouTube.
LinkedIn anymore, man?
I
Joe?
people,
No,
life
I'm not that
coaches.
active. Grandpa over there uses it all the time.
Oh, please. The only reason I use it is so I can have something to complain about on Twitter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
That's when you're not complaining about Twitter.
Yeah, I guess that's what, like about 10 seconds of every day.
Yeah, friggin' LinkedIn is just garbage. It's just like if you're looking for a life coach and inspirational quotes, that's about all you'll get out of LinkedIn.
Oh, you want franchises, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about franchises. I get hit up for franchises every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the obligatory contest winner things and all of that, too. So, yeah, not a lot going on over there.
And it's worse because my DMs over there are a friggin' hot mess because I have like 23,000 followers. So it's like, just garbage. Just everybody has a brilliant idea.
What, now all those bots can, like, with ChatGPT, can generate messages to you?
Exactly. Shaun's got a new PFP up, so that's exciting.
Young man.
I don't have to comment on it.
No, I don't think it needs any comment whatsoever. That's hilarious, dude. He's got CZ behind bars, so that's pretty good. I'm surprised you didn't use little AI to generate that. Are you playing with AI yet, Shaun?
No, my son is doing some amazing stuff with it. Like I code the old-fashioned way, and he's just started coding, and he's been writing algos with ChatGPT, and it's annoying me because it's too bloody easy.
It is. I am using it to write code almost daily. Every time I think of a task I want somebody else to do, and a software I want to have, I have ChatGPT create it. It's friggin' awesome. It's going to eliminate a lot of developers and a lot of jobs.
I have to say I've been skeptical about how good it is at writing code, but I mean he's not a coder. He knows how to code, but he's not a coder. And my God, he's been, we've been the last week or so, I've been going, oh, let's do a back test on this, that, and the other. And like, it takes half an hour.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's only going to get better. Right. And so my point is that, all apps there won't be apps. We won't have specialized apps anymore eventually, because once people start creating their own apps, right, generating code, that's kind of phase one. We're all going to create little apps that solve a problem, scratch an itch for us. But now that we have automated agent technology with AI that can go through and do multiple tasks for you, like you can start off with an objective and give it a slight path, and it'll run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, completing tasks for you online, sending emails, interacting, whatever. And once people start seeing that, then the functionality starts getting generated and made accessible to the AI. And then we don't need user interfaces. We don't even need really operating systems beyond core function. And then we just tell the AI what we want to get done, and it does it.
I'm wondering now, can I just make a toxic maxi AI?
Yes, absolutely. You can.
It wouldn't take a lot. I mean, it just has to go, fuck shit coins.
Yeah.
Eat grass-fed beef. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah. Government sucks. Grass-fed beef. No, what is it? What's the oils they don't?
No seed oils or
no seed oils. Yeah, that's
Jesus
it. And you could have it like generate its own podcast with a bunch of maximals talking to each other about how evil the rest of the world is.
Yeah, I'm bored of that stuff. I have to say, Ed, who's a local Bitcoin maxi, and I shared in the Telegram some of the he's working on a kind of a guerrilla Bitcoin marketing campaign. One of the best maxis I know, and a vegetarian. So
wow,
we're not like we appear on Twitter. Well, I am
exactly. Yeah, the cross generalization is a little extreme for you, Maxis. That Jameson Lott piece was fantastic, though. That was awesome.
I think it's really worth a read or listen. About there is a function of toxic maxis. I don't know what it is, but apparently there is.
Really?
And we keep people Bitcoiners in line, man. Come on. I was having a conversation with somebody about this, and they're going like, why do you engage? Why do you try to convince people not to shitcoin? And I went, that's a really fair point, because there's only two things that stop people shitcoining. Number one is it's always the market. Okay, so if you stay long enough in the game, okay, and you look at the statistics behind trading shitcoins, you're going to lose all your money. Okay,
yep.
Except for a very small number of people who, and that's why we have this kind of survivor bias on Twitter, where you see people who've made an absolute fuck ton from shitcoins and so on in the past. And so what happens is they rotate back out into the real world, or they turn into maxis. So there you go.
This is on the screen.
Good
for
point.
Those of you listening on the podcast, you may want to check out the YouTube. I'm putting up the ad campaigns that Shaun's team is working on.
It's not my team. It's Ed's initiative. He was around yesterday.
Ed's initiative.
Delivering me a fantastic Bitcoin maxi painting he did. So thanks, Ed.
I saw that too.
That was cool. That was very cool.
Does that painting have a name? I didn't see if you named it.
Look like some seed oils going on there, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we rubbed it with veganism and poured seed oil on it. Just to piss off the toxic maxis.
That's hilarious.
There is Ed. And
Ed
I just let Ed know, because he did ask me. He understands how lazy I am if I actually hung it on a wall, and I had. So it's all Ed.
I want to know when I can buy it as an ordinal.
Well, dude, come on, no more spamming. Come on. Jesus. I mean, all that you're doing is, all of those whatever, those people who look at the blockchain and are always bullish. You're just giving them ammunition based on nonsense, yeah.
Ordinals aren't nonsense. Come on.
The man's an artist. He should be selling his work digitally. If you're a maximalist, a digital money, and you're an artist, I mean, it goes together like peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, not at all. I mean, like, the reason Ed has tried to rope me into all of this, which I'm really willing, is because I'm prepared to go right back to my roots of the 80s and just get out a spray can and get arrested.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
That sounds intriguing.
We can have you report from the local constable's office.
Yeah, I just have to make sure my son's willing to actually bail me out. That could be debatable as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, streaking epidemic at McDade's.
Yeah. Max Life says, happy Thursday, gang. I love the smell of Gensler roasting in the morning. Yeah, Gensler had some heat the last couple of days. Niblet says Shaun still has stacks of punch cards.
Not quite that bad. I still want to use a deck writer, though. I fucking love deck writers.
Shizzy says, who put CZ in jail?
Nobody yet.
I think he got arrested for graffiti in Ireland. He and Shaun were running the streets last night. Max Life says, I asked AutoGPT to create a trading bot based on Shaun's trading algorithm, and it's still running calculations. Nilla says, why stop shitcoining? Well, I've just experienced my 6th project drain today. Oh, that's ugly. And Shizzy said, I'm going to become an ordinal maxi. NFTs are now all shit because they are not on Bitcoin. There you go. There you go.
Good point. Good point.
Oh God, I no comment, my lad.
Shizzy seeing the light. Shizzy seeing the light.
Shaun's created Bitcoin NFT maximalists.
Yeah, I didn't need to. I mean, BitBoy is now into it. I mean, there was I was completely.
Well, there's money to be made on the backs of other people.
Yeah, I mean, I was completely kind of agnostic about it, and since he's kind of got involved, I've begun to go, oh, God, really?
Yeah, now giving it a bad name. Yeah,
he wasn't at that first OG Irish miner meeting with you, there, Shaun.
Next week's PFP is going to definitely be BitBoy based, you know.
Chuck is making old school computing noises for you. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk,
Oh man,
ka-chunk,
I loved it.
bird. My deck writer imitation. That's awesome.
God, yeah, I forgot about
Only you and
that.
I remember, Chuck.
That's great. So, Shaun, glad to have you back on. Excited to have you here. And, you know, we've had a little bit of action in the market, a little downtrend over the last 24 hours. Where's your head right now with where we are?
I mean, like nothing has really happened. I mean, you can get caught up in these micro moves. I mean, nothing's really happened. What I was going to, if I can share a screen, is more.
You are shared.
Oh dear. Okay, let me get that messy one out of the way. What am I trying to find here? Oh, let me find. Jesus, so many screens. So, you know, a lot of nonsense spoken. No, mostly by me. But let me just clean this up. What I was going to do is maybe just point out a couple of things about markets in general and why I do not want to be carrying unhedged risk. Okay, so this chart is a really simple chart, and it's divided pre-Bitcoin and post-Bitcoin. So the orange line in the middle is the creation of Bitcoin. The black line is the S&P 500, could be the Dow, could be the Nasdaq, doesn't matter. And the red and green lines are money supply. So M1 is green and M2 is red. So for those who don't know or kind of ignore these things, M1 is what they call narrow money. It's easy money, liquid money. So that's what's in checking accounts, cash, you know, the most liquid kind of money. M2 is M0 for those who are interested is actual cash, so actual dollars and coins in circulation.
Okay.
And M2 is M1 plus M0, and it is the less liquid money. So that would include things like demand deposits or money locked in money markets. Okay, so
got it.
And if you ignore everything, can you just go that a very basic principle of markets is that the more money in existence, the more money finds its way to the market, the more it creates a macro uptrend. Okay, not difficult to understand in any way, because money will always find a home. So you can see this goes back to the kind of mid-70s, obviously long before I was born. But you can see that money supply M2 and M1 are increasing, and guess the news, on average, stock prices go up.
Right.
Again, so no complexity there.
Makes sense.
And the blue line are interest rates. So you can quite clearly see that as money supply is increasing, okay, in general, stock markets go up, but they can also go down when money supply is increasing. And the reason for that at higher time frames is interest rates, which is, i.e., the cost of money.
Right.
So one of the things that Joe had been saying, you know, yeah, sure, you know, your $3 Bitcoin or whatever mad prediction I'm giving, when. And so I've been commenting in the Telegraph that there's two interesting things happening in the overall markets at the moment. For the first time since the dawn of time, or back to the 80s, we're actually seeing a drop off in money supply.
Right.
Okay. So again, you can see the green and the red are coming down, and that's literally just less money in circulation, and that hasn't happened for a long time. Okay, that's an interesting. That's QT.
Right.
And I know people are arguing about other stuff. Like, I'm not getting into this nonsense about funding the banks being QE, but so we've got an increasing money supply, and we've got the markets going straight up, and then there's something unusual happening here. But ignore that. Even during this, you can see that we've had massive pullbacks, yeah, and that is simply the cost of money. So you go back to the kind of Volcker era when, you know, the Fed was at at 20% rates and so on, and you can see that the current market. But to go back to the timing, everybody is praying for a pivot, okay? And yet, if you look historically at what happens, how long from a pivot, i.e. an actual rate cut to the bottom of the market, okay? And in this case, so from here, back in the 2008 era, when the Fed stopped printing, oops, let me put that up again, you can see that when the money printer, not the money printer has always been printing, but when they reversed the rate cuts, it was 500 days before the market bottomed. Okay.
Wow.
You can see the same effect. You go back here, and you can see that it was 600 days till the market bottomed. Okay. And you can do this and again. So thinking that. And again, here, what's this? 518 days and so on. And you can go back through all of this and saying that simply praying for a Fed pivot. Now, a Fed pivot may cause a little pump, but historically what happens is that once the Fed starts cutting, which we are yet to see, you are looking at a relatively extended time before markets bottom. So I think that's one thing, and again, part of my reason to be seriously hedged in this market.
That's fascinating.
And yes, and again, there's a reason for this, by the way, that people, this is not just, you could say it's a very small sample size, blah, 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 but the reason is the Fed tends to pump until they break something. And
right.
And they reduce when something is broken. Okay, and that's been the history of it. So they're starting to drop off, and you can see the COVID thing. I mean, they're starting to print money and drop off when something is broken.
Right.
So, there is a cause and effect here. They pump till they break something, and then they reverse course because something is broken. And something is normally so seriously broken, it takes the markets quite a while to bottom thereafter.
Right.
Okay. So again, just from my perspective, I think that this is a piece of data that is very interesting, and again would make me be very convinced that the 4-year cycle is broken, and I'll come back to that. So that if we add in Bitcoin then from the dawn of time, so this picks up price in 2011. And what you can see with Bitcoin is that, the first 2 cycles, basically, you could say brought us into lockstep with the S&P. So kind of probably more price discovery. And then really where we are is high beta to the S&P and to NASDAQ and so on. But you can also see we're basically in any reasonable time frame, pretty much in lockstep with respect to bottoms. We tend to front run tops, again, high beta, but there's nothing here that is that uncorrelated in high time scales. So you can kind of say from the 2016, 2017 run on, we are just a high beta asset from the stock market. So again, taking this into account, that when rates cut, we can do whatever we're going to do in the short term. But I think there's a reasonable expectation that when the Fed pauses, if they pause next month or the month after or whenever, we might get a little relief rally or whatever. But in general, it is unlikely the market has bottomed for a long time, potentially up to a year after the Fed cuts rates.
Right.
Okay. Hey, Shaun, a quick question. Sorry I have to jump in like this sometimes. Otherwise, Brad just is grip to that mic. When you say markets bottom, are you talking about equities, or and everything else? Or are you talking about, fiat markets? Or are you talking about crypto?
I'm talking about the fiat markets because that's where we have the historical data. And then I'm pointing out that since kind of 2016, 2017, we've had our price discovery, and then we're basically just in lockstep in any reasonable time frame with equity markets. So again, if you look at, even the 2018 bottom, you look at what year was that? The 2020 bottom, you look at, we're not deviating in any real way from the equity markets. As I said, whether we like it or not, this is just a traded asset, not doing what it's designed to do yet. Now, things can change, but again, from my perspective, this is a really simple game. I do not want to be holding unhedged risk with probably a year plus to go before TradFi, once the Fed start cutting, before TradFi bottoms, because I don't think there's any realistic reason for the crypto market to disentangle itself in the next year or so. There's no, why would it do it and not later? So,
I'm curious. But both of you guys. So when the Fed start, because I always think when the Fed starts cutting, and then more liquidity's out into the market, whether that's stimulus or that's just into corporates or whatever, but there is more, like you said, M1 out there available at that point, which tends to then, a lot of times it seems like, that ends up then in risk assets, would be before that 18-month bottom. I'm wondering, what do you think? I mean, how do you explain it, but what are your thoughts there?
I think the issue is that a lot of people's muscle memory is just from COVID. Yeah. So if you look at the response to COVID, we had a nice kind of steady uptick of M1, again, the most liquid. And then COVID gave this like unbelievable spike in M1. Yeah. And so the response time was faster.
Okay.
So can that happen again? Yeah, maybe. I think it's unlikely. I think the more realistic cycle to look at are the kind of historical cycles. But even after the rate cuts started pre-COVID, okay, so we can say rate cuts started here, the bottom of the market was still 274 days later.
Wow. Okay.
Now, if we do this level of QE again, okay, for whatever reason that may cause that, and I can't foresee it, but we couldn't foresee this level of QE, a year before it happened either, then yeah, the response time is you can't just flood that amount of retail liquidity or M1 liquidity in without a very fast response. Yeah. But I think our memories are around this, whereas again, even with this, if we just look at rate cuts, it was, half a year before the market bottomed. And then we had this, you can see it here. This is the Fed's data, not mine. You can see this huge increase in both M1 and M2 liquidity. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think, so when they do cut, it's obviously not as dramatic as stimulus as that, direct injection post-COVID, because that went both to businesses and individuals directly. That's not going to happen this time. Yeah.
Well, unless, again, there can always be another crisis. But if you look at previous recessions, okay, there's still money supply is still increasing during them.
Right.
Yeah. So you can go that in general, as money supply increases, obviously equity increases. But when you look at the pullbacks, you can see that they're primarily affected by interest rates, but in a weird relationship, which is understandable, that interest rate cuts tends to be a year to a year and a half before the market bottoms. Okay, so if we take out what is probably an anomaly, and clearly such a massive anomaly of COVID, which is what we all remember, and again, what many people's thinking about markets is really based around this time period and 4-year cycles. And again, I'll point out, even the rate cuts there, it was a year before we saw the bottom, okay? But in a more normal environment, if you go back to, 2008 and, 2001, back to the 80s, 70s, okay, rate cuts, you can see here the market did a run up on the rate cuts, yeah? Okay, a news, but nothing substantial, nothing interesting, whereas markets bottom, and you can see it very clearly, markets bottom a long time after rate cuts. And this is somewhat anomalous from the point of view that we have both QE happening, okay, so we have money supply decreasing, and rates increasing. So it's kind of not necessarily. So again, for me, I need to be like, don't get me wrong, I trade the shit out of the market, long shorts all day. I'm talking about positioning myself for
Longer term.
what is, positioning myself for what is a not necessarily a positive thing coming. Now, one of the debates we've all been having, well, I haven't been having.
Quick note, Shaun. Sorry. Yeah. Do you mind sharing some of these charts that you're comfortable with in the links?
Yeah, I share them all, dude. Look, all of my stuff is I charge.
Beautiful.
I charge what it's worth, which is zero.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
I'll stick them all in the. I'll stick them all in the Telegram after this.
Perfect. And everybody listening on the podcast, zeros and ones who joined over yesterday, make sure you go. I'm going to put the YouTube link in the show notes because you don't want to miss these visuals. So I think it's really important to kind of see what Shaun's talking about. So go ahead.
So, and I see the comment there, Niblis is saying M1 is nonsense. Yeah, but M1 and M2 really directionally don't change. So one of the things that I've been very consistent on is that money is just leaving the crypto space like there's no tomorrow. And I'm basing this on several factors, but the easiest factor to measure is just stable coins in circulation, because how stable coins are created, and I'm talking about the big ones, the ones of interest, are I send money to Tether, I send $1 million to Tether, they send me $1 million stables. That's $1 million into the space. I send $1 million USDT to Tether. They send me $1 million. That's $1 million withdrawn. And the blue line here is stables, which are clearly going down over 35 billion so far. You can argue that money is getting in other ways. And it is, by the way. You've got direct fiat, but direct fiat volume is actually declining. Okay. But you can also see it's linked to money in supply. You can see that so the black line is M1, M2 is the same. Okay, you in terms of directionally, you can see that stable coins, i.e. the real fiat value within our ecosystem, topped and is doing exactly the same thing as money supply. Okay, this is not a surprise. Okay, so for those people who believe in the Easter Bunny and Apple or secretly through some mechanism that is off blockchain or whatever, I don't know, some fucking magical
scratch offs.
They're in the markets of Wuhan buying Bitcoin for dead fish or something. I don't know how it's happening, but it's nonsense. Money is leaving the space. And you can see this in several things. So you can look at stable coin supply. You can look at it's perfect correlation with dollars in supply. You can see it more even further when you look at liquidity on exchanges. Okay, so at the top here we've got the Bitcoin price, obviously, and this is a heat map. This shows money sitting on the order books. So in a real bull run, okay, you can see the amount of bid liquidity is insane, yeah? Following it up all the way, yeah? You can see all of this nonsense stopped at the first top in, I think it was May, what year was it? 2021, seems like a lifetime ago. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to this, but you can also just see it here. So this is the depth. Red is the depth of the ask size, and green is the depth of the bid side. And you can see that there's just no interest in the market at all whatsoever, none. Okay, so again, this is a reflection of capital in the market. So we can clearly see that during a bull run, during the accumulation phase of a bull run, okay, you just have unbelievable levels of liquidity sitting on the books, trying to hoover up Bitcoin or whatever asset you're trading. And what you can see that from May 2021, which is a really interesting date I'll come back to, that basically the market is there's the amount of liquidity, the money has been drained from the market, fiat, and in terms of trading activity. For people who look at volume, which is always worth looking at, I will refer you to the picture in my profile and remind you that CZ enabled wash trading on Binance to fake a lot of volume about 6 months ago. So we see a lot of volume on Binance that is literally just wash trading because he introduced zero fees that he has now stopped. And the moment he stopped it, trading volume went down 90% on Binance. So again, when you look at it,
90 or 19?
90%.
Oh, okay.
I always come across bearish. I'm the biggest motherfucking Bitcoin bull you'll ever meet. Yeah. I wanted that idiot who said it'd be $1 million in 90 days to be right, but like we all knew it wasn't. So again, if you look at this without getting into lines on charts and you just look at basics, which is money leaving is bearish, bid liquidity is bearish, trading volume is bearish, and then somebody go, but the price is going up. Yeah, and you go, okay, cool, that's fine. We can deal with that. But I've no interest in holding personally unhedged risk into this type of environment that can last for 1.5 to 2 years. None.
Yeah,
None.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean price can't go to 32 or whatever number. Okay. It can have reflexive bounces. It can have trader games, but all it is trader games because there's no actual bid here. There's no sustainable bid. There's no accumulation. We've got, in my opinion, very clearly people driving price up to get retail a little bit bullish and to use them as exit liquidity.
Well, at least everybody must feel special.
In fact, if you look at the volume here, you can see like it's nonsense. Yeah? If you look at the volume, and again, I'll come back to this. 69K was the top of the market, but the bull market, as in engagement and interest, actually ended in May of that year. And then you got this perfect ABC move, which again was the generation of exit liquidity. Guess the news, we're doing an lovely ABC move here as well. This is not, in my opinion, going to end well for anybody.
Shaun, let me ask you a question then. For someone like you, like, you know, the small guys can still play around with you know, minimal moves, but for somebody like you that's trading at size,
yep.
What are the next couple of years look like for you?
I mean, things can change. So I do believe that we will get some form of a black swan, and that, you know, the thing about black swans is you can't see them coming; they just come.
Right.
But I think that there is enough risk out there in the macro world that we could see a black swan and a Fed type of emergency response to it. Okay. So I would never rule out that this could all get better faster, but I'd still think, I mean, you know, I would judge a lot by the Dixie. So if you look at the Dixie, which is basically dollar strength versus other currencies, again, I've shared this chart a lot of times. I mean, I think the Dixie doesn't top this year. Personal opinion, just looking at, you know, it's behaving absolutely as I expect. So dollar running is bad for crypto. It's the other side of the trade. So there's lots of features that say that this year is not going to be a bull market, and that ultimately, without a black swan, then I think a year to 1.5 years, up to 2 years, unfortunately, after the Fed start cutting, would be historically where you would expect markets to bottom. And again, I don't want to be bleak. I mean, nothing is certain. I was yapping with Niblets, who doesn't believe in TA, and maybe he's right not to believe in TA, about, you know, the Taleb book, and I know everybody in crypto hates Taleb, but Fooled by Randomness is a great read, okay, for anybody who wants to be a trader.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the situation has lots of risk to the downside, and nothing whatsoever, in my opinion, that would make you believe that a bull market is happening or is about to happen.
So for you personally, does that mean kind of hanging on the sidelines for?
Oh no, I mean, like I'm a market maker, so I'm out there.
That's
you know,
true.
One of these idiots, you know, who's still putting liquidity onto the books,
Thank you.
and try to hoover up pennies. I'm a very active trader. Like I would do a lot of volume. It is increasingly difficult to get fills, so I only do limit trades. So I'm reliant on volume being generated by others, and it has been, you know, 2 years ago I could get a fill instantaneously. I put a bid on the books or an ask, and price hits it, it's filled. Now price hits it and it sits there waiting to fill my order. So I've had to reduce the amount of volume I'm doing.
Right.
But that's okay as well. I'm in this game 13 years. I'm not, you know, while I would love to see a bull run, but don't get me wrong, I would love to be able to go, great, there's a bull run, I make more money, everybody makes more money, and so on. It's simply that there's simply nothing to support it. I mean, literally nothing to support it other than, you know, the Easter Bunny told us.
Yes, absolutely. And I found him. There's the Easter Bunny.
I'd actually believe him if he told me.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks like a 3 a.m. Easter Bunny.
I know. You know, I've been hyper bearish since 24, 25. Well, I've been hyper bearish like long. I was like suicidally bearish at 69, which is where most of my shorts are. At 65. Beautiful. And I just don't like the environment for holding risk. And here's what I'd say to you: you can believe all my bullshit and my lines on charts and this, that, and the other, okay? But just ask yourself a question: whether or not this is really simple. Yeah, do you think there's going to be a recession in, you know, the next 6 to 12 months, mild or otherwise? And if there is it a smart thing to do to hold risk into a recession? That's all I'd say. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm simply trying to give you my read on the market.
Yep. Max Life says, I think we have one last blow off top rally through summer before that huge crash begins in the fall, predicting a huge rally, and then agree with Shaun, a prolonged dip is in the cards. Niblet says, with a 500-day for Fed action to turn the boat in TradFi, how does this lag change an accelerated petri dish of crypto?
Well, again, and that's a very reasonable thing, Nibbles. But if you look at, and again, apologies for, let me just turn off some of this stuff, might be a bit clearer, yeah? So if you look at the orange line being Bitcoin and, you know, a proxy for crypto, you can see that there's fundamentally no difference in the price. You know, Bitcoin is beta, so it swings higher and drops lower. But I don't have any basis to believe that you know, alignment of tops and bottoms is going to change in the next six you know, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. Is the answer. So you know, we have a limited amount of historical data that says that we are going to closely align with TradFi, and there are cases where you can say that we will disengage, but I can't put any confidence behind that personally. Yeah, you know, I could say that if, you know, the US introduced the CBDC next Tuesday, 99% of people will accept it, but the 1% are important because they run to Bitcoin, and that will drive price up. So outside of an event like that, I don't see any significant decoupling or rationale for decoupling. I wish there was.
Eamon said it's been a wild decrease in stablecoin supply. If Coinbase actually leaves the US, the main fiat on-ramp goes away. But does the on-exchange liquidity also decrease because the value of non-dollar assets get decimated?
Whatever way you look at it, okay, money is leaving, okay, in lockstep with money supply, in the same curve, okay. So for there to be a bull market, we need new money and we need to see a bid. And I'm going to keep coming back to this because I've been trying to find ways to explain, because I'm so involved in microstructures of markets and all this spoofology that I do, is that this is what a bid looks like. Yeah. You see the amount of bid activity there. Yeah. And do you see how since May of that year, absolutely nothing has been happening with respect to liquidity in the market. It's there's other things. The market, when you take actual liquidity, order book liquidity out of a market, the market can move more freely with volume. So you get a market that's a lot more volatile. Because if I'm buying or selling 100 million into a deep book, I can't move it as much if I'm buying or selling 100 million into a thin book.
Right.
Okay, so we are going to see increased volatility, and even worse since Almeida got kicked out of the game. And I know Almeida are crooks and criminals, but they actually provided a lot of liquidity that dampens volatility in the market.
Yep.
And so even since the little FTX crash, things are different, and we've seen other market makers leave the space as well. That some of the kind of more Wall Street market makers, because they don't. With what's going on with US regulation, the risk reward isn't there for them, I don't think. Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that's it. I'm not trying to do anything other than I'm explaining that there's nothing about this that I want to hold. I am always net long Bitcoin. I'm going to say that. Okay. I will never, at $1, I'll be net long Bitcoin, okay? But the level to which I hedge it, I think I've said this a few times, is at historical highs for me. And it's a position that I may have to retain for longer than I want to.
For those that haven't been listening to you before, what do you mean by how you're hedging?
Okay, so I only trade what they call inverse swap contracts. Okay, so without getting too technical, it means that I never switch to stables. Yeah, I own a few bucks in stables, but nothing of interest. So I use my Bitcoin as collateral to create shorts. So that means that if the price goes down, I'm generating more Bitcoin, and if the price goes up, I'm generating more dollars, more dollar value.
Right.
So my hedge is real simple, since I'm basically all in crypto, all in Bitcoin, is that I take some of my spot and I use that as collateral to generate shorts that pay out in Bitcoin. So I'm short from above and long from below, if that explains it.
Yeah. Get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Max Life said, love these charts. Don't see anyone else sharing these truth. Big thumbs up.
I think we were having a chat with Joe, like another thing to consider, and again, maybe it's just I'm a cynical old fuck. Well, I am a cynical old fuck. But,
you've done well being a cynical old fuck.
Yeah, it's working for you, man.
Something worth remembering is always what are people's incentives. So I would make an argument that the incentives of virtually everybody in the space is to have long bias. So crypto media, people selling trading tools, trading exchanges, all of these people are incentivized to encourage to talk the market bullish, because their revenue is 100% based on the amount of retail interest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whether you're glass nodes doing this, that, and the other, and so on. So what and again, I could be wrong. My own bias could be taking me over here. But what I tend to see is a lot more prominence given to stories that are bullish, okay, than stories that are bearish. And again, I think I used the example you guys discussed the other day about the 110 million flowing in crypto, yeah. And I'm going, yeah, sure, but in the same time period, I think 300 million left. So,
that's American financing. Come on.
There you go. Only look at the positive.
Yeah, and again, incentives matter. I mean, it suits anybody. It suits just about everybody in the space for the market to be bullish. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I don't mind taking shorts. Yeah, I mean, I've no problem taking shorts. It's a lesson I learned a long time ago to hedge. I'd still be happier if I was sitting here and we're discussing Bitcoin's heading to 1.5 million. I'd be fucking delighted. Yeah, every exchange would be delighted. Every media outlet would be delighted. Everybody selling data and trader tools would be delighted. But they're also incentivized to say that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Niblet says, ha ha ha, I'm mathematically skeptical of TA, but believe very much in its psychological feedback loop. So it has a kind of predictive truth to it for sure.
I mean, just on that, if I go to my little shitcoin charts, so just to get this, I fucking love Kanto, man. I don't know what it does, but it is just no idea. Well, hopefully it will make me money one day. That's its objective.
It's a superior blockchain technology.
Blockchain number one. Super VIP.
It's a superior ticker when it comes to TA. Okay. So, as I said, again, boring people, we established a range, deviation at the top, deviation at the bottom. But like this thing is just being so well behaved with levels. So again, unless there's something dramatic changes in the market and we start to see money flowing in, still looking to buy down here. But again, just, levels, high time frame levels being respected. Whatever the reason for that, if you're a trader or a swing trader rather than an investor, just worth looking at this TA nonsense with respect to high time frames, because it can give you entries and exits for your trades. Whatever. I mean, Doge is just being a dog, again, it's just stuck in a range, nothing exciting happening. Sol, again, totally respecting levels. Yeah, it comes up, rejecting. Again, I have no interest whatsoever in any of these things. As I'm really interested in Kanto, but I have no interest in terms of anything other than buying cheap and selling expensive.
High. Yep.
What is that accumulation range there on Sol?
On Sol, I currently am targeting 130 to 446.
Okay.
But don't you think with their
dude, I mean, BNB do that every day as well, don't they? I believe, yeah. They have to restart the blockchain.
I think they're going to go to the moon with their new phone. Did you see their new phone?
I fucking love it, man. I want to buy one.
There you go.
Shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
The only button says reboot chain.
Ethereum. And like, here's the thing. I get what Niblis is saying, okay? Because I would have been as skeptical, but even Vitalik's coin is respecting levels. So again, I don't know. I'm not saying we're going down straight away. Currently, everything's hitting support. One thing that may be worth me bullshitting on about one last time would be where's it gone? Probably closed it. Hang on a minute. Let me find the chart here. Why is this level important in terms of where we are in Bitcoin? And again, I keep saying to people that the higher the time frame, the more it's respected. So the reason that this is an important level, these are yearly candles, yeah? So what you can
I don't
argue,
think I've ever looked at a yearly candle chart. That's
it genuinely is worth looking at, because what you can see
awesome.
is that the 2021 candle is currently acting as a resistance. My argument, and the reason for my new name, other than taking the piss out of Shizzy a bit, sorry, Shizzy.
What is your new name right now?
7.1 XPT 7.1.
Okay, good.
Just to explain, it's not a prediction; it's literally a joke. That range traders again have this thing where they establish range. What is interesting about this is deviation bottom, deviation top. My magic 13.8 number is perfectly halfway through the deviation, and you'd say the bottom is 7.1. I don't know. What will happen exactly with price in the downside, or I kind of would like to see 31.8 printed here. I don't know if the market doesn't give me in terms of short time frames, but I'm just not. This is not a bull market to me in any way, shape, or form. It is, and again, I'll just draw this thing again one more time where people can criticize it and say, what does a exit pump look like? Because we have very clear examples. This is what an exit pump looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would say that if you don't see the similarities here. So again, look, I don't want to discourage or give advice to anybody. Okay. I'm just giving a view that you know.
Well, hey, you know what I'm going to say here is that you were at like 6K before, and now you're at 7.1. So that sounds like a price revision upwards.
Dude, that's me. That is me bullish at the moment.
Yeah, that's his bullish mode. That's his bullish mode. That's his bullish mode. Michael says you boys should go outside and get some sunshine.
Okay. Dude, I'm
all
Irish.
doom and gloom.
The sun, I'd melt in the sun for fuck's sake.
Yeah, he's Irish. He also says, okay, serious question. How do you measure Asian money coming into the market?
You could. It's very simple. I mean, so there's always edge cases. Okay, so what I would say seriously about money flow in crypto is that stables, you can look at volume. Stables are simply the number one entity. Okay, they're not everything. You know, people have pointed out that you can look at fiat, and you can fiat, by which I mean US dollar fiat. Okay. If you want to see the activity, whether it's significant, of Asian money, then you ultimately catch everything on chain. Okay, so if a Bitcoin is bought and so on, it moves. So we can look at on-chain activity and we can see that it's not bullish. You can also just look at the trading volume on Asian exchanges, okay, and see that it's not bullish. There's no accumulation there. Okay, so while there's always edge cases, the vast majority of it, even OTC deals. So even when Sailor is going out to buy, okay, again, people misunderstand how OTC deals work in practice. So an OTC dealer isn't sitting there with 100,000 Bitcoins ready to give to somebody, okay? What they will do is they will have OTC sellers who are ready to sell, but they have to match it and so on. But by and large, what they do is they actually go out to the spot markets, to the Binances of the world, with their bag of stable coins and do buying so you can track it. And with respect to Asian money, it's no different. There will always be people who come in, you know, via backdoors and so on, which will ultimately catch on chain. But it's minuscule. It's not, again, it's not worth looking at. You look at it to make sure it's not significant rather than track it. Right. If I can put it that way, yeah. Again, a bit like the 100 billion, or sorry, the 100 million bought. Yeah, 100 million is a lot of money, but not when you've lost 35 billion since the beginning of the year.
Right, right.
So it's always net that counts. Another comment I will make, because somebody mentioned it, is, you know, they were going, yeah, Tether is up $1 billion or 2 billion or 5 billion or whatever. Yeah, they are, but that's a lot of that is just straight swaps out of BUSD and USDC.
Makes sense.
So none of that reflects new money coming into the market. It is simply people's confidence in, jumping from one to the other. Net counts, and net's just not. I'd love it to be good, yeah, but it's not.
Makes sense.
So the overall, the aggregate value of all three of those stables is the same or is declining, even though like USDT has been going up. Okay, got it.
It's declining at $1,000 a second. So
Ouch.
If somebody believes that, people buying stuff with credit cards is going to outweigh that when the data doesn't show it, and that's, it's not happening, is there will, every market is buyers and sellers. There's always somebody buying, there's always somebody selling. You can't buy unless somebody's prepared to sell. That's how a market works. So there's always money flowing in both ways. The question is, which one is dominant? And unfortunately, $1,000 a second on average is leaving the space. That is money. That is money being drawn out, despite net of all the buying. Yeah,
right.
I guess we need the Chinese to go full on crypto.
That's perfectly in line with money supply. Yeah, it's doing exactly the same as money supply.
There was a point on that I wanted to make earlier, or an observation. I think it's interesting how when we're talking M1, that's exclusively a U.S. thing. But when we're talking money leaving the system, that's a global metric, yet it's the same trend. And I just found that kind of intriguing.
Yeah, to be honest, that's exactly what I said when I looked at it first. I was going, wow, that's really curious. Then I'm going, but why would it be? Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting, and yet should not be surprising whatsoever, because because you can use most things as proxies in the same way that I'm simplifying what I'm saying here simply by using stable coins as proxies. But it's a reasonable proxy, and you can dig into the rest of the data. You can look at, you can ultimately validate everything on chain if you want to get to that level. But stables are the market by and large. It's not to say that, there isn't somebody swapping fish in Wuhan for some Bitcoin. Okay. But it's not relevant.
It's not material. Yeah, it's not significant. It's in very minuscule amounts, if anything like that's going on. Yeah.
Shizzy says next week it'll be 1,000.
8K. Yeah, that's my ETH price, man. Dude,
wow.
I don't know what the bottom is. Okay. I'm just looking at levels. 7.1 is an interesting level. If we get to 12 or 10 or whatever, I will reassess everything in real time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a name.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Max Life says salivating a chance to buy Bitcoin sub 10,000 someday would be life changing. Yeah, and I think that's the real upside here. You may have to be patient.
Yeah, I mean, my concern, and I don't know, but I can only look at the data. And again, if something changes, it changes. I mean, the whole thing about being a trader is not to get caught up in your own bullshit. And so on, is that if something happens that you don't expect, you have to reassess it. But I am concerned personally about how long this can go on for. But here's the thing about it. We can monitor this stuff in real time. So we have a huge advantage if you want to look at, and again, this is very different than trading. Yeah. Trading, I'll trade away. I'm not looking at any of this horse shit. Okay. When I'm trading. Okay. I'm talking about positioning my net worth.
Right.
Okay. How hedged do I want to be? Because I want the market to bottom and I want to be fucking YOLO all in net long again. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's what I want. Okay. But I'm concerned that I may be holding these hedges for a lot longer than I would like.
Sure. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. I think what's other interesting dynamic here, in terms of the mental state that people bring to trading in crypto is, inherent in this is not just a trading mentality. Inherent in this is this kind of fear about the mission, right? Whether people are just here to trade or they actually believe in kind of what they think Bitcoin can do for the world, there is this other part of our mindset, of our emotional reactions to dumps and black swan events, that is, what happens to Bitcoin long term, right? Does the mission die? Is this going to die just because it's something new? Well, relatively new to the rest of the financial markets. And I think that also plays a role in how people think about this whole thing, and people exiting and leaving that are not true believers, I guess.
Yeah, I personally, again, for what it's worth, which could be fucking zero, okay? I think if you're emotional about price, it's negative EV. Yeah, you're going to lose money. Okay, yep. So I always find it hilarious. So we saw that little pump up to 30 or whatever the hell it was. Okay, and it's, all the bulls are going this, and we see this little drop back down again, and all the bears are going this. And geez, guys, it's just the fucking price on the chart, for fuck's sake. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. You either you positioned yourself for it or you didn't.
Exactly.
Okay? Because if you're attaching emotions to it, okay, it's very difficult to make a clinical decision.
Yep.
Yeah.
And trading decisions shouldn't be emotional, because they will. You can look. It's also a stochastic process. Price can go up or down. So you've always a decent roll of the dice being right. Okay. So everybody's going to win at some point. The point is, can you sustain winning over an extended period of time?
Yep.
And I do believe that emotions in that are not useful whatsoever. In fact, I'll be pretty confident, because emotions trap us. People can argue rightly that I have a massively bearish bias to the market. I do. I'm not attached to it. If I'm wrong, I'm going to go, cool. I'm wrong. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not in any way.
It's not a belief system.
No, it's not. It's just price.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just price.
Exactly.
Does this damage Bitcoin in the long term? Because there's always this question: if Bitcoin goes to 7K, 6K, if Bitcoin goes below 10K, okay, there's this argument that you would hear from people right now going, it's dead. And I go, look, here's the truth of it. If Bitcoin goes to 6K and the S&P goes to 6K, maybe Bitcoin is dead. But if Bitcoin goes to 6K and the S&P goes to 2K, it doesn't matter.
Right. Makes sense.
If we deviate massively to the downside versus TradFi, then we've got a problem. If we're just lockstep in, we're just again beta
correlated. Yeah.
We'll rise further. We'll dump harder. I mean, that's the way. That's what beta means. Yeah.
Right.
So dude, I'm in this game 13 years. Bitcoin's been dead so many fucking times at this stage. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I think the things that would concern me would simply be if we do something dramatically different than the rest of the TradFi markets, unless it was to the upside.
Yeah, then we'd be happy.
I think downside differently.
Yeah. Evidently, Michael's trying to live as his avatar. He said, "You young whippersnappers in your video games, go do something with your lives." Niblets asked, would a BTC price collapse behave like a stars collapse? It could go supernova, or it could experience runaway collapse into a black hole. What's the price of no return?
Again, that's a very fair question, and I go, it's a question of how it's responding relative to other markets. If ever, like, when during the COVID dump, depending on the exchange you use, because the exchanges were all over the place, call it 3.1, 3.5K. Yeah. If you said to somebody, at 10K the year before, 11K, well, actually 13.8K is what it is, year before, if Bitcoin hits 3K, is it dead? They would have gone, of course. But the point is, it happened in the context of everything going to shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a number. It's a question. Do we get down? Do we go down without, substantially down without the rest of the markets? And God bless us. Like, you know, the US government is doing its best to make that happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Shizzy said the bottom is 15.5.
Excellent.
Another.
I'd be delighted if we've seen the bottom.
There you go. Chuck says there's certainly a BTC price point where all the miners say, fuck it. If no one is around to run the chain, then that's a kind of death.
Again, this is, I'll go back to 2018, Chuck, and go in 2018. Oh God, it seems so many years ago. The good old days. They weren't even the good old days. 2018 was just a boring year. So in 2018, there was this idea that, and again, that if we lost 6K, Bitcoin was dead. And the reason being that the production cost of a Bitcoin was, from memory, 5,800 and so on. But the way mining works is it will always be profitable, by which I mean that there's always the same amount of Bitcoin that is produced, okay? And that Bitcoin has value. So, you know, the 6.25 Bitcoin multiplied by the price of whatever the price is, and then that goes down. But what happens is miners get driven out until those that remain are profitable. So in other words, the cost to mine, the cost to produce over any extended period always goes to the revenue available.
Right.
And so it's actually quite a smart system. Now, you can argue if Bitcoin goes to $1,000 about the security because of the reduction in hash rate. And that's a reasonable argument. But you can also make the argument if Bitcoin goes to $1,000 or $100, it doesn't need the same level of security. But anyway,
yeah, who's going to attack it?
But the point about mining, because it's not the way, and I'm not suggesting Chuck thinks this because I know he knows the space inside out, but for other people, it's not that the more miners, the more coins are produced. The same number of coins are produced every 10 minutes, okay? And that value is there available to whoever wants to mine it. And if too many mine it, they become unprofitable and die.
Right.
Okay. So the amount of hash power over any reasonable time, okay, will fit to the capital released or the value of the capital released every 10 minutes. So I'm not worried about the mining network. You can have worries about security and centralization, all of this, but I mean, historically, there's very few miners that last more than 5 years anyway.
Right.
So you know, it tends to be that. So yeah, I don't think there's a price at which we should be worried about mining, because of the way mining works is literally, you know, it's basic capitalism. You know, I mean, people will take the revenue up to the point it's unprofitable. They leave, it becomes profitable, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Shaun, so glad to have you back, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing? They're great buddy of mine, great Bitcoiner, young guy, unfortunately died a couple of weeks ago. And for everybody in the Irish Bitcoin community would have known him, James Nagel. Known the kid since, I don't know, 2015, 2016. He ran the local Bitcoin exchange here. Total gentleman. Onboarded, I'd say, everybody in Ireland.
Oh,
Nice.
Sadly died, and very, very sad thing. Be greatly missed by the Bitcoin community, but mostly condolences to his family and friends. Just a cracking lad. So it was a bit of sadness, but I think worth remembering. Good, because again, everywhere in the world, there's going to be those influential, unknown people who did so much for this space. And James, an absolute gentleman, was one of those kids.
That's it's.
My thoughts are with his family.
Really sad to hear that happened, and definitely thoughts with the family. And I'm sure the community will miss him greatly, and much gratefulness to the family for what he did for everybody else.
Yeah. So anyway, not to end it badly. I'm fucking loving trading this market. If you're a trader, this is great fun, guys.
Absolutely. Shaun, thanks so much. It was fantastic.
Thanks, buddy.
As always learn from you, always getting a better perspective with you. I appreciate that. So,
and can I just say, you know, I mean, I'm not, I don't want to sound like I'm the oracle of all knowledge, because I'm not, but, and I love seeing other people's datas and ideas. Come join us in the Telegram group, because it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a blast. Yeah, this kind of stuff is what Shaun and others sitting there are talking about. So join us, t.me/mission DeFi, t.me/mission DeFi. It's our Telegram channel. Would love to have you there. Thanks to everybody that's been joining lately. Really appreciate it. Max Life, Niblets, Chuck, Eamon, Shizzy, Michael, the old man Michael, Max Life, Richard Sullivan. We appreciate all of you participating and joining us today. Thank you for your comments and thoughts. It always makes the show better. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us. It really helps us and gives us a nice boost. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Click the little bell so you get alerted when new episodes comes up. And Joe would like for you to smash the thumbs up.
That's right.
Please.
Bang it.
Shaun, we'll see you next week. Thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate it. And thank you to everybody else who has been participating. Joe, I hope you have a great afternoon.
You too, Brad. Thanks. And thanks, Shaun. I really appreciate you being on, and we definitely miss you.
Thank you, guys. I shall see you all next week. I'll see you in Telegram later on today, probably.
Absolutely,
Cheers.
buddy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.